That's twisted.
Welcome to the Twist with Mark and Rick. Always fun, always clicking the best way. Here to stay.
That's twisted.
Images of Josephine all over the place.
Stay tuned.
Accessible to people of all different
Yeah, you
levels.
know it's time to start. Tune in, let's play our part. Coming to you from the heart.
That's twisted.
Welcome to the Twist Podcast, show 316. This is Mark here, of course, in New Jersey. Now, I don't know if my name is showing up because the last time I recorded it, it didn't have our names on it, but I think people know who we are by now. They should. How are you doing, Rick?
Good. Well, it says Mark McNease in the lower left, and mine says Rick Rose if you're watching us on YouTube. So if you're still used to listening to us on audio, guys, give us a chance on YouTube. You can find us there, too. I'm doing well, Mark. I was out in Ucumna. I look a little tan. Yeah, I was out in Palm Springs for about a week. Got home the other day and waiting for the snow tonight. 65% likely, but we've been in the 50s weather check. It's been very nice.
Are you using your snowball microphone?
It's right here, but I'm not using it today. There it is.
I like
Cute, right?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It works really well. Just speak up a little bit because your volume is lower than mine.
No, I can adjust that too. I've been, lately, I don't know about you, but I'm working on 3 different computers as of late. So it gets confusing.
I absolutely understand. Now, before we, the whole thing with 2026 for me and the twist was I was going light. I was going to go lighthearted. In fact, today my news rundown is all good news.
Good.
Happy stuff. But this murder happened in Minneapolis, and it has shaken me up. It's shaken up the country, but it has shaken up. For quite some time now, I have had this challenge of trying to understand people who support this regime and support things that are going on, because some of them are my neighbors, some of them are family members, and I've tried my best, but a Rubicon has been crossed, and I'm done. I'm done being sensitive on Facebook or anywhere else. I've just had it because Renee Good was killed. She was murdered. I'm even over this whole, let's analyze the video shit, because that's a way of detaching from it and stepping back and saying, well, maybe she got what was coming to her, or maybe she didn't. That shit's over. I'm done with that. There's no reason to analyze anything. I did see the video like everybody else. This man killed her. He shot her in the front window. She was trying to drive away from him. She was getting conflicting shouts at her to get out of the car, move the car. And I just saw a video that was taken up very close, where I think it was her partner was interacting with the ICE people, and she had been talking to the guy that killed her. And then he shoots her through the front window, and then make sure she's dead. He shoots her through the side window as the car rolls away. Whether she was alive or dead, I don't know. But the motherfucker shot her in the head. And all the crap I'm seeing from the right wing, never mind this regime, they're going to lie. They're going to defame her. They're going to say evil, horrible, MAGA shit about this woman. But the right wing, their little bubble, Newsmax and Jesse Waters, all of those people they're sucking their right wing dick on every fucking day, are even mocking her. And it's like, I'm done with these people. Get the fuck out of my life. I'm not going to censor any goddamn thing I say about it. There's no going back. That we live in 2 completely separate realities, and it's time to accept that. I'm not interested in theirs. I live in some kind of sanity and some kind of truth and some kind of fact. I have no interest in their reality because, to me, it's ugly. ICE is a terrorist organization. We're funding them with our tax dollars. They need to be abolished. And the people running for office as Democrats better say it. They better fucking say it. Because I'm over it. I'm just over it. I'm heartbroken. She has 3 kids. One of them was a 6-year-old son who she dropped off that morning and went home that night to a dead fucking mother. So to hell with all these people. Now we can get on to the happy stuff.
Well, I just want to say, it's on the personal side. I was talking to my niece this morning, who, as a woman that's of a similar demographic, right? She's a mom. She took it really hard. And I'm also really tired too of black people and brown skinned people saying, well, now you guys know what it feels like. Because we still feel it, even though we may not be black or brown. And I don't think this is the time to compare fear and hate and loss.
Right. What is that about? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't get that. And lately I've been calling that out a lot more. But to your point, I was talking to my niece and I'm like, they're replaying this video, like you said, and why? We in sports, we take the video for what it is, and we're gonna do this video that's crystal clear and reanalyze it. But my point is this: so 2 days before her death, in RIP, God rest her soul, and healing to her family, I saw my friend who lives in Minneapolis, Judy, who I've known for 40 years, and recently saw about 6 months ago when she was in Wisconsin, that she was out doing this work and protesting and trying to block ICE and all that. And would you believe I asked her to do an interview for our show? We were all set to record the interview on the day she died, and she knew her. And so we will get Judy on the show. It's very poignant, Mark, and I'm glad we did this little discussion at the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up what you did because I'm over that shit too. You know, because I'm on Blue Sky, you know that. And I've seen this stuff like, well, white people this, and now you know, and nobody cared until a white woman was killed. Excuse me, where the fuck are you when we're out there at the Tesla protest and the No Kings days? I don't see a lot of black and brown people. So don't tell that shit to me that we're not out there doing anything. We are out there doing anything, and I'm over it. I mean, initially I understood a year ago, a lot, especially with black women who tried to save this country. I understand that they were this, we're done doing this. It's your turn. But now the stakes are extremely high and we don't need to be divided.
We don't need
I will protest when a black person is killed or a Latino is killed. I will protest the kidnappings by the ICE goons. But don't play that white people shit. This is not the time for that.
Yeah, and I want to remind people to go back in our archive. Well, not even our archive, but our YouTube channel. We do have these standalone interviews now, and our first standalone interview was with a former ICE agent, a good friend of mine, who's from New Jersey, where Mark's from. And so if you haven't heard her talk, go ahead and listen to that interview because she called it, Mark. She knew these things were coming, you know. Fortunately, she's down in Mexico on vacation after her retirement, but it's got to be painful too, you know, for all of us. So yeah.
Okay. And our next standalone interview, we have an interview today with Steve Wylie. That's part of the show. And then I have a standalone coming next week with Daniela Accitelli, who is a fabulous audiobook narrator who lives in London. Lucky her. Yes. She's an expat American, but I'll be doing an interview with her that will be another standalone. Okay, deep breath, everybody. Let's all do
it. We got that coming up in the show. We have some fun facts we're going to hit on. We have a survey. We have the question of the week. We have some good quotes. And, of course, we have the wisdom of Joe. So stay tuned, guys. Fasten your seatbelt.
We got a whole bunch
of bugs. We're off
and
running.
We got a bugs my ass, baby. Like the world right now is bugging my ass. On personal stuff. I think I said my new book is out. Was that out a week ago? Blank Page to Bookshelf.
I think it came out just as we recorded the show, and I got to review the book. Mark, you did an outstanding job on that book.
Yes,
you're welcome.
Yeah. And then I changed my Substack. I've had a Substack for 2 years. It was called Mark McNease on Topic, and it goes to what I was just saying at the beginning of the show. It's like I can't do the political commentary anymore. It's too hard. But I have had my workshops for 2 years. The book's out. So I changed my Substack. It's called On the Right Path, WRITE, with Mark McNease. So sign up. And it's really all about, I've had one out last week and I'm putting another one out next week. It comes out every Monday and it's going to be all about writing and creativity and quotes from writers. And you can just be, you don't have to be a writer to subscribe, but give it some thought. And I think that's kind of it for now. I'm like, wow, I want to get a good night's sleep.
I think you're making the right choice. I'm there to support you. For me, I just got back from Palm Springs, as I mentioned. I decided to split my fish. I've been talking about my fish. I have fish and snails and frogs and an eel. So I've been separating them out. And what's really interesting, I've been learning about the snails, Mark. They're called mystery snails. I've talked about them on the show. They do this thing called snail gliding. It's so cool. So what they do is they actually go to the top of the water and then they glide their way down. They go up on the edge and come down. So it's been really fun to watch them. I've really, really enjoyed it. Also in Palm Springs, I learned something. Here, get this. There's a new phrase. So when you're of our generation and we hear these young terms that come up for us, like, the word side, we never had that in our discussions as gay men. We were top or bottom or versatile. Now they have sides.
Side.
Right?
Oh my God. Is that a position?
It is. It means like you just want to cuddle and hold.
Okay. Oh, I like that. I
Oh,
like
you
that.
never
I'm
knew
definitely side.
Yeah, I'm a side, especially at this age.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was an
for sure.
aggressive top at one point, Mark. Then I became
Oh
versatile.
my God, Rick. I'm not saying what I was. I'm not going there.
You know what is so funny, Mark? We've known each other this long, but we've never had any of the Sex in the City talks.
No,
I
because
don't
we're
know.
not comfortable with that.
No,
I
we're
don't
not.
think.
We're brothers. We don't talk about that.
No.
But a couple new words. Owl is being used now by young people to refer to old lesbians. It's called
Oh my God.
old wise lesbians. They're calling them old
Wow.
wise, and they don't like
that.
it.
I mean, oh, they don't like it. Okay, but I mean, I like the acronym. But if the old wise lesbians don't like it, don't do it. A lot of them use the word dyke, which I do like.
I do too, and it's interesting because I think it's complimentary, but maybe old shouldn't be old, but it's that. And then I was with
Older.
my friends whose little daughter was there, and she's 3 years old. And I like, is she just coming out of the terrible twos? That's what we knew. You know what they call the threes now? A three-ager. A
Three-ager?
three-ager.
A
Like a
three-ager.
teenager. They're calling a 3-year-old a three-ager. This is a real term. Mark.
Three-agers. Okay,
Three-ager.
that's
Because they're
nuts.
naughty like a teenager.
Yeah,
Defiant.
but less difficult. I'm a 67 ager. Is that a new term?
I like it. I'm going with it. You're not an owl. You're a 67-ager, okay?
I'm an older, wise liberal.
Liberal. There you go.
I got fun facts
Good. Let's hear it.
for January, of course. January 8th, we just passed it. I don't know how that happened. Yesterday was National Bubble Bath Day. I did not take one, but I do use Dr. Teal's lavender scrub. I love it. It's just relaxing and it's like sand. It's like lavender sand. National January 11th is National Milk Day. I do use milk in my coffee.
Wisconsinites love it,
Yeah,
Love that
the 14th is National Dress Up Your Pet Day. I'm not doing that. My cats would freak out.
Yeah.
January 20th, this is for you. January 20th is National Cheese Lovers Day.
Love it because
love-
that's the day after my birthday, Mark. I'm January 19th, and it's cheese day. 19th is popcorn day, just so you know. Just throw that in.
Thank you. And we love our cheese heads.
Yes.
The 21st is National Hug Day.
Oh.
Give
yourself a hug.
give somebody who you don't despise a hug.
Yep.
23rd is Pie Day, National Pie Day. We're not doing desserts in January, so we're not going to do that. And the 24th is National Compliment Day. So say something nice. And this one, the last one I have is I like this. January 31st is National Backward Day.
Oh, nice.
Wear your shirt inside out.
Oh.
That's easy to do. Don't be backward though. As a person, don't be backward.
Huh. I like it.
And
Here's
you
a
already,
random fun fact about John Legend. His birthday was not too long ago, and for some reason, something popped up. Long before he became a famous singer, he won the Springfield District Spelling Bee in 1989 when he was 10 years old, Mark, when he was living in Ohio. He was homeschooled. Not many people know that by his mom,
wow,
Phyllis.
interesting.
Yeah. And he was so smart that he actually was able to, in theory, skip 2 grades, and he enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania at the age of 16. He is a true legend. So
He is a
that's my-
legend. And by the way, because I had a friend from school from Indiana. She homeschooled her kids, but it wasn't for religious reasons. And people should know that not everybody, people think all these homeschoolers are Christians. They're not.
Yeah, they're not.
And with all this crap going on now where they're going to have, Turning Point USA chapters in the high schools, I'm like, get my kids out of here, man. I'm going to raise some woke kids. And they're not going to this shit, these schools. So yeah, I think we'll probably see more homeschooling for those reasons.
I'm actually working with a young woman that's running for the Miss Quincy team, the pageant you judged years ago in Quincy, Illinois. And she was pulled out of school in 3rd grade for her dyslexia. Of course, it's a smaller community that probably didn't really know how to deal with it. And she said in a mock interview today that she loved being homeschooled, that she got to plan her day the way she wanted. She could get her school done in 2 hours, give her time to be a Suzuki violinist who she's excellent with. So yeah, I think I would have enjoyed homeschooling, but because I never liked to be around other kids, I wouldn't have missed the social part. But,
Well, I do think that's a issue. That's a problem for some of them.
some kids.
But my parents, there's no way they were going to homeschool anybody.
No.
They are not about that. I got survey results. You remember we held the survey over because
2 weeks.
So many people wanted to respond
I know.
that we had to
couldn't
keep
cut
it
them
open.
off. We just could not.
Here
cut
are the
them.
results. And it had to do with resolutions for this year, which we are in. No more news politics than I need to stay informed, 40%.
Nice.
Simplify everything. Fewer commitments, less clutter, real and imagined, 30%. Not 100. We talked about 100%. I don't like that one. Heard. Stay open to new experiences, projects, trips, habits, and perspectives, 40%. I don't make resolutions, 20%. I knew somebody was going to hit that one.
That's
Name
me.
your own and 10% named their own. Here's some of what they said. Say yes to joy, fun, laughter, and creativity. Love it.
That's so good.
Take better care of yourself mentally and physically was 60%. Oh, and here's what they said too. Oh my gosh, those weren't the comments. those were categories. Here's the comments. All of these are great. I usually say making resolutions for my birthday, which is the beginning of my new year. I like that.
Oh, I like
my
that.
birthday could be my new year.
Yeah, I like that.
Another person said, I made all these throughout 2025 and feel I've been successful. Reducing news was likely the most life-changing to reduce my stress.
Amen.
Was that you?
No, but I agree with whoever it was.
My resolution is to stay the course. And another person said, more time with friends, less time with stress.
Nice.
That's it. That's the surveys.
Nice.
On to the news. Moving right along here. I told you I only had good news. We know the big news because we talked about it at the top of the show. We couldn't even get one day. Maybe it was a day, I don't know, even a week. We couldn't get 1 week into this new year without this insanity. Invade Venezuela. Or kidnap. We didn't invade anybody. Kidnap the president. And they're keeping the horrible regime in place so they can get the oil. It was never, oh my God. That's why you have to pull back, because it never stops. It's deliberate and it never ends. And people, don't kill yourself. Not worth it. Here's my good news stuff. So I really like this. California is officially drought free and reservoirs are.
Oh, wow. That's big.
Yeah. 120% on the reservoirs of the average levels.
Nice.
A rare jaguar was sighted in Arizona, giving conservationists hope for the species recovery. Apparently they were, not too far from extinction. Assisted fertilization is helping revive and restore disappearing coral reefs in the Dominican Republic. 19 U.S. states raised their minimum wage on January 1st, with most of them reaching $15 an hour or higher. Another 49 cities and counties are raising theirs at the beginning of the new year. A group of Buddhist monks have been walking from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. for peace. Their journey is inspiring millions. If you're not following them, please consider doing so. I do not, there was a link, but it's a underlined URL on my paper. I can't tell you that, but look up Buddhist monk walking from Fort Worth to Washington. Less than 2 hours after his inauguration ceremony, Zoran Mamdani signed 3 executive orders designed to put pressure on landlords and fast-track housing development. I just got 2 more. Democrat Renee Hardman won a state Senate seat in Iowa, denying Republicans the opportunity to reclaim their supermajority. Iowa was the first state where the Supreme Court declared marriage equality.
Right.
And then finally, a newly announced sanctuary in Texas will help protect the whooping crane, one of the rarest birds in North America. So there's good stuff out there.
It is, although I will tell you, we got a little problem in Wisconsin with the sandhill cranes. They've gone a little crazy. They're running on the streets. They're knocking on the doors at restaurants to get food. And they're thinking of doing an open season on the sandhill cranes in Wisconsin. That's kind of scary, Mark. But they're kind of a nuisance. My good news is, I think it was in November, so I'm a little late in this, but the Human Rights Campaign's Municipal Equality Index came out, and the city of Green Bay. So basically what they do, I think there's 30 different areas. They look at hiring practices for the city. They look at, quality, are we offering, queer events, blah, blah, blah. So Green Bay was it had a 28 score out of 1 to 100 back in 2018, only a 28. So in 5 years or 6 years or whatever, 7 years, it turned around and it's now at 100. So of the 600 cities they looked at, over 300 were at 100 mark. So that's a really good sign. And then they gave a gold star to 64 cities that may be based in a place like Texas or Florida that have their hands full trying to, be equitable and celebrate human rights. And they awarded them extra honors for the work they do given the situation. On to big news. This is big news. In the most recent episode of The Simpsons, season 37, episode 13, it was titled Severance, based on the show Severance, which, by the way, I binged both seasons while I was in Palm Springs. If you haven't seen Severance, it's got some great love stories, including a queer love story. Christopher Walken is one of the characters, plays one of the characters. It's a beautiful series. But on this episode of The Simpsons, they officially ended and retired the character of Duffman, which is really weird because in the marketing realm, they had Duffman beer. They had a lot of stuff based on this character. The character's real name is revealed to be Barry Duffman, appears in civilian clothes, and explains that the Duff Corporation has retired that character forever. Now, this show has been known to do, loose cannon kind of things and kill someone and bring someone back. But they say he is gone after 30 years. He first appeared in 1997. So goodbye, Mr. Duffman. Also in the news, let me find a couple big stories here. Always say that, and I want to do it. Say goodbye to TSA at U.S. airports. They're talking about how that's changing for these other services. Yeah. I mean, there's still other services out there, but that's going to be an interesting one. This was interesting. Chris Redd, who was on the cast of Saturday Night Live, came out and broke his silence on dating co-star Kenan Thompson's ex-wife. He said, I felt so bad from the start. Kenan and his wife had a decision to end their relationship, and then Mr. Redd started dating her. But in this breaking of the silence, he said he had a conversation with Kenan about it, and everything's good. But it was a very tear-filled video. If you haven't seen it, it's on his socials. He did talk about all the drugs he was using while doing the show, and all the drugs he was selling.
Kenan Thompson?
No, not Kenan. The other guy, Chris Redd. Oh, who was in the cast for many years. Yeah, weird, right? Like,
Gray.
And this is cool. What else? Top baby names of 2025, right? Just got to kind of look back at what they are. Emma. Some of these older names are coming back, Mark, and it's kind of interesting.
Oh, Emma. We know the name Emma.
Yeah, it's good. So anyway, there's that. That's all I got.
I love it. And I don't have a bell anymore, so
I don't have a bell either.
I just gotta follow follow the format.
We got an interview coming up with Emma too very soon.
And according to our rundown, we have an interview right now.
Yes, and that would be your interview.
It would be with Steve Wylie. You're finally going to get to see what he looks like in 3 dimensions. Steve is a longtime fan of the Twist podcast. He listens to every show I plug. I mention him. I name drop him all the time,
and he knows the details of everything we talk.
He knows. He actually, he listens. I don't know. I don't think he takes notes. But and then Frank and I met him and his husband Steve Gibson in New York City like a month ago. We took the bus in and had lunch with them because they were visiting from Kentucky, which is what we talk about. Me and Steve talk about him living in Kentucky. And his life, sort of his life in general, it's because these are shorties. We keep the long ones for the bonus interviews. But no, it's always a delight to talk to Steve. And he's also an actor. He sent me his headshot. He's really, can I say this? He's really handsome. I got to say that. And the headshot's like, yeah, because I put pictures now at the front of the YouTube thing in the introduction. I put still photos in there. So there's going to be a picture of Steve, and you can judge for yourself. But let's check out what Steve has to say about his life and where he's at.
That's Twisted.
Welcome to my guest on this week's episode of the Twist Podcast. It is Steve Wylie, who has become a fan of the shows for sure. We met on Blue Sky of all places, and we recently met in New York City. My husband Frank and I took the bus in and met Steve and his husband Steve. So it's good to see you again. How are you?
Great to see you. I'm great. I'm great, and delighted to be able to speak to you in real time, just one-on-one. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I like the mobile. Is that a mobile behind you, the rainbow mobile?
It is. That was actually a gift from my sister for Christmas a couple years ago, and we hang it in our dining room window because it makes for pretty shapes and pretty colors.
And it's fun to look at.
Yep,
for me.
Sure is.
Now, you had a good time in New York because I saw your pictures and everything else.
We did. I lived in New York from 1981 until 1986. So, it was it was home for a while. I still have a really special place in my heart for New York City. And I always love visiting, and being an actor and theater nerd. I always love being able to visit different theaters and see Broadway shows.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about today as sort of a theme for the interview. I grew up in northern Indiana, not about an hour from Chicago, South Bend, Elkhart, that area. Notre Dame is in Elkhart for anybody who's like, where is that? And you have lived in several places. Obviously, New York City was one of them. But you are now in Kentucky. And I just wanted to ask you about life in Kentucky, how you got there, how you enjoy it, what your experience is. Tell us all about it.
Well, we live in my husband Steve's hometown, and to make a long story, probably longer, we met in 1998, and our first date was Christmas Eve. And in May of 1999, he brought me to his hometown of Henderson, Kentucky, to visit his family. And granted, at the time, he was not out to his mom. He was out to his brother. But we went and stayed at his mom's house, and we were driving down. We flew into Indianapolis, and we're driving down. And Steve's telling me that his family's not a physically affectionate family, so don't expect a lot of hugs. But you'll get a warm welcome because that's who we are in Kentucky. So we pull into the driveway and walk into Steve's mom's house, and she immediately walks toward me with her arms outstretched and says, "Come here and give me a hug because I'm a hugger." And I looked at Steve, who was standing behind her, and he was looking at her thinking, I don't know who this woman is. But at that very moment, I knew that I was very welcome in Henderson, Kentucky, and that feeling never changed. In 2004, we left San Francisco, where we were living at the time. That's where we met, and moved to Evansville, Indiana, which is just 10 miles from Henderson. It's just across the Ohio River. Steve wanted to be close to his mom in her later years. She was at the time about 85, 86. And so we moved to Evansville. Steve didn't want to go back to Henderson because he felt like this town was too small, didn't have a lot to offer. And Evansville is a bigger city, 130 to 150,000 people, I think.
Oh, wow. That is big.
And so we liked Evansville a lot. It's the southwestern corner of Indiana, third largest city after Indianapolis and Fort Wayne. And we loved living there, and it was nice to be close to his mom. We'd visit often. And then she passed away in 2008. And so in 2009, during the crash, when the housing market and the job market kind of went south, we moved back to California thinking that there'd be better opportunities there and also be close to my family. Fast forward 2020, we both retired. And we were kind of thinking about where we wanted to land. And we stayed close to my folks until my dad passed away in August of 2020. And in 2022, again, because we had suspected that things were going to change with the housing market and the mortgage rates, decided to sell our house in California and move back here. And originally, Henderson wasn't necessarily the place we wanted to land, but Henderson has changed a lot in the past 15 years. The downtown's really thriving, and we've got a lot of really cool restaurants, and we've got a walk along the river. We're right on the Ohio River. As you can see, my backyard butts up against the river. And so we said, yeah, let's move to Henderson. And it had always felt like home. We had a lot of friends. We already had a church that we had belonged to when we lived in Evansville. So we returned to that church and have been very, very happy here. So as far as why we came here, that's kind of the long story short. Since then, obviously, we've gotten more involved with local activities. I'm on the board of our Friends of the Library at our Henderson County Public Library, which is, in my opinion, one of the best libraries in the state of Kentucky. It is a red state, but we don't, here in Henderson, don't necessarily feel at risk at all being a gay couple. We love living here. We love everything about Henderson. We love the fact that we're 5 blocks from downtown, and so we can walk there easily. We have some really cool music festivals. Probably one of our earliest involvements when we moved here was getting involved with the W.C. Handy Barbecue and Blues Festival, which happens on Father's Day weekend every year in June. And we were volunteering, and we've done various tasks for the committee over the years. And one of our favorites is making bread pudding for the Zydeco night on Thursday night of the festival. The festival runs from Wednesday to Saturday, right before Father's Day. And so we make bread pudding, about 24 trays of bread pudding that is then sold with red beans and rice and Cajun sausage and everything for Zydeco night to kind of celebrate the Southern heritage of blues music. But we have great performers that come in, a lot of headliners that are very well known in the blues music community. And it's a great festival. We bring in about between 40 and 70,000 people, depending on the year, come into Henderson to see the festival every year. So I'm sorry?
What's the population?
Population here is about 28,000.
Okay. Elkhart was like 35 when I was growing up. It's probably more now.
Yeah. Well, of course, being a kind of a suburb of South Bend or vice versa, I don't know.
It's kind of more like a sister city.
Like a metro area almost.
Yeah. Elkhart, Mishawaka, and South Bend were all kind of like together. South Bend was obviously bigger, and that's Pete Buttigieg was the mayor of South Bend at one point. Yeah. How far are you from Evansville?
It's a 15-minute drive. Not bad at all.
That's kind of like we are here with because I'm in New Jersey, and Pennsylvania's across the river. We're a mile from the river. You just drive across the bridge and you're in Pennsylvania. I go there all the time. I go to New Hope and Doylestown and places like that all the time. And I also love libraries, big library fan, because I do a lot of workshops in the libraries. So I love libraries. What would you say, like, is it like if you tell people, oh, come here and visit this area in this town, you've named some of the selling points.
I mean, in addition to the Blues Festival, we also have a rock music festival that's just one night in May. We have a bluegrass festival that happens every August. And the thing about those three festivals is that they're all free. So, you basically just bring a lawn chair and you sit in the park and you listen to great music. And the Bluegrass Festival also includes a folk life aspect to it, where people come and show you how to do things like make quilts and crochet and churn butter. And so a lot of the things that kind of make Kentucky a unique place to live. Obviously, being on the river, and our elevation is different than Indiana. We are a little bit higher up. The unofficial slogan of Henderson is always on the Ohio River, never in it. There was a major flood that happened in 1937 that almost completely covered Evansville, and Henderson wasn't affected at all. So you can't really see from this view, but the actual access to the river is about 25 feet down from our backyard.
Now, where I live, it's New Jersey's a blue state. I wish we had never gotten into the red-blue thing, but that happened years ago. I think it was with the 2000 election. But anyways, but we're surrounded by, Republicans and a lot of Trump supporters, but a lot of Republicans. But still, New Jersey's a Democratic state. So it doesn't, it's really, you really can't judge by the color of the state. But what are some of the misconceptions you think people have about Kentucky, if you can think of any?
Well, I would say probably the biggest misconception is just that that we're completely red, and we're not. Louisville and Lexington are two of our biggest cities, and are both. Lexington is where the University of Kentucky is. Louisville is where the University of Louisville, and they're both very, very blue. Much more diverse cities, and of course, being education centers, you tend to bring in more liberal people. We do have super majorities in both of our state houses, the state Senate and the state legislature, due to gerrymandering. That's probably the biggest thing. Our district, our U.S. Congressman is James Comer, who's well known for being the chair of the House Oversight Committee. He's kind of crazy, but our district is sort of this weird snaky shape that includes Western Kentucky, and then it kind of snakes around southern Kentucky, and then it comes up and includes Frankfort, which is our state capital. And if you look at the map, that boundary doesn't make any sense at all. Owensboro, which is about 30 miles east of us, should probably be in our district because it's also part of Western Kentucky, but it's not because it tends to lean a little bit more blue. And they're just trying to make sure that every district in the state, congressionally, will, except for Louisville and Lexington, will. And actually, I think Lexington is split into two, so that I think even their voters are not really adequately represented. At any rate, we do have a great candidate running on the Democratic side against Comer. Of course, our primary isn't until May, so he's not officially the candidate until after the primary. But I met him, and I have high hopes. The one interesting thing about Kentucky is that our governor, statewide elections, governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, et cetera, are elected on an off year. So he was actually, our governor is Andy Beshear. A lot of people know him. He's gaining some nationwide recognition. He was actually first elected in, I'm trying to think, this is 2026. He was reelected in 2023. So he would be, his second term will be finished in 2027, or actually the end of 2027. And then he will be done because he'll be termed out after 2 terms. But we have a Democratic governor, Democratic lieutenant governor. Our attorney general is a Republican, but that's probably just because of that whole law and order thing that Republicans tend to run on. But Andy Beshear is a fantastic governor. He runs with about 60% approval on any given day. People really like him. He's brought a lot of jobs to Kentucky, and he's done really good things. I wish that he would run for U.S. Senate next year, or actually this year. Our 2 senators are Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul. Mitch McConnell is retiring, and that is a very good thing. And currently, we've got two or three candidates running on the Democratic side, and I think 1 or 2 on the Republican side for his seat. But if Andy ran for U.S. Senate, he would probably win hands down. And I think he'd be a great U.S. Senator. He's not leaning in that direction right now, so we'll just have to see what happens.
Well, Steve, thank you for the interview. Thank you for being such a big fan of the show. You know we drop your name all the time.
Well, and I appreciate that. I love it when I get a mention. So I really appreciate you and Rick and all you're doing, and I just think you've got.
And he's going to finally see he's going to get to see what you are like in 3 dimensions.
That's right.
So that'll be
nice. Right. Oh, and Stella just said hello. So that's our little Chihuahua, our little black Chihuahua.
Oh, hi, Stella. We will, of course, stay in touch. And I know you got a Substack. You're an actor. You have all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah. We'll have to talk more.
Huh?
We'll have to talk more.
We will. And I'm actually changing the theme of the focus of my Substack this year to be about writing, because I just can't deal with the toxins anymore. I honestly have to pull away from all of this stuff, even though on the podcast, of course, there'll still be political stuff. But Frank sent me a whole bunch of good news. I'm like, I want to start putting up good news, like the Colorado, they're bringing an animal back from extinct, from on the verge of it. There's all kinds of good stuff going on. So anyways, I know I'm getting off the deep end here. I'm going to stop, but it was really nice to talk to you always. And if you're ever in this area again,
I'll let you know.
And we'll do the same, if we're heading to Kentucky anytime soon. We'll see you there.
Okay, take care, Mark.
Thank you.
My best to Frank.
Bye.
Bye.
And I said to him, because we're surrounded by Republicans here, it's like, just because you live in what people perceive as a red state, you can't really make a judgment overall about that, because people think New Jersey, how blue, how Democratic New Jersey is. We got a lot of Republicans here, and they're living all over this little farmland where we are. And a lot of them are nice people. A lot of them are really nice people. I think I told you last week I got my car pulled out of a driveway on the ice because I couldn't get out of the driveway, and that was by a neighbor who I'm quite sure voted for this administration. But sometimes you just got to put that over there. But
that's
anyways,
cool. Hey, I was thinking about Steve and you and Mark, you and your husband, and look at this little book. I just got to bring it up because I just love that. There was a day, so many of us lived in the closet. I'm not saying you or Steve.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, my friend Sky got me this for Christmas. I haven't even opened it yet.
It's very cool.
Loving a photographic history of men in love from 1850 to 1950. Yeah, just sharing. I'm excited to
I
open
really
up.
like that. And I see a lot of pictures. There's somebody on Facebook who posts a lot of pictures about we've always been here, and a lot of those old photos. It's really nice.
It is sweet. It's
You know,
really lovely for sure.
the
Well, thanks, Steve.
recommendations.
Yep. Oh,
Yep,
here we go.
recommendations. Here we go. Before we get to Emma, I got mine. My recommendation this week is, I think I mentioned it last week. It's called Mayor of Kingstown. Now, supposedly there's going to be a fifth season, which will wrap it up. There won't be any more, but there's no date yet for the fifth season. I just started watching it because we talked about that too. I'm always searching for what can I watch? What can I watch? And I found this. It's already been on the air for 4 seasons, but I really like it. It's really gritty. I mean, it's not for everybody because it can be pretty heavy and dark. But the mayor of Kingstown unfolds in the gritty. Oh, I just said gritty twice. Fictional town of Kingstown, Michigan, where the single thriving industry is incarceration. There's like 5 prisons in this town. It follows the McCluskey family, powerful intermediaries who broker uneasy peace among gangs in the prisons and outside the prisons, law enforcement, prison officials, politicians, and inmates. Lots of tension. It's got Tensin. Jeremy Renner's the lead, and I really like Jeremy. You know, he almost died in an accident with a
Yes.
vehicle, snow vehicle. Diane Weist plays his mother. Hugh Dillon is Ian Ferguson. Taylor Handley is Kyle McCluskey. Toby Bamtefa is Bunny Washington. He's the guy who's always in a lawn chair selling drugs. And it's just a really good show. I like it, but again, it's heavy. I mean, if you don't like heavy stuff, it might not be for you. But I like it. It reminds me very much of The Wire. I think The Wire was better, but it's got a very Wire vibe to it, which maybe they were looking for. But it's called Mayor of Kingstown.
It's a good one. And
Yeah.
it's funny you bring it up because I was out with Donna in Palm Springs. That's our retirement home. Donna is a caterer for the film industry. Donna catered this for its second season. And she
Wow.
got word, on January 5th, while I was out there, she got the message at Paramount Plus, confirmed the renewal mark for season 5. But I don't know if you know this, season 5 will be the series finale.
Oh yeah, I just said that.
Oh, you said that. I missed that earlier
That's
part
okay.
that you recognize that. Yeah. And to your point, it will come out in late 2026 or early 2027. Edie Falco's in it too. And I just, like you said, what a great cast. Shot in Pennsylvania, though, even though it took place elsewhere. So,
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. And it's a limited. I think the last season's it's gonna have fewer episodes than the last season.
Fewer episodes, shorter episodes is what it says. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
My recommendations. You ready for this?
Do
There are
it.
2 movies. I go to a lot of movies and I usually recommend the movies or not. Gave a light introduction earlier to Severance, a TV series. If you haven't binged it, see it. They were supposed to be coming back for a 3rd season. They had a pause, like 4 years between season 1 and 2. Ben Stiller is the director. It's very, very, Adam Scott's in it. Very interesting. But I went to 2 movies last night. I walked out of both, Mark. I couldn't stand
Really,
either of them.
Rick.
Yeah, just walked out, couldn't stand it. But I got a trailer on the first one and a trailer on the second one that I want to talk about and give them early recommendations before even seeing them. So this is unique. First time we've made a recommendation as a forecast. One is the new Wuthering Heights, highly anticipated project coming out Valentine's Day, modern version of the Emily Bront classic, directed by Emerald Fennell, the Academy Award winner for Promising Young Woman and director of Saltburn. So you can only imagine something good's going to happen. She wrote it. Margot Robbie is production company is doing it, and she will be in it. I've also, on our last episode, talked about the rise again of Amanda Seyfried, who I just adore. And she's got a movie coming out called The Testament of Anne Lee. It was released in late 2025, but just finally coming off the festival run. It's a historical musical drama that has received significant critical acclaim, particularly for Amanda's lead performance. I cannot wait to see this movie. So early recommendations. We'll see once they come out. I promise you guys I will review them after the fact and see if I was right in telling you to make sure you see these movies.
And I bet you are, Rick. Your instincts are impeccable.
Pretty good, Mark. I'm pretty good. Like, I would recommend the Twist podcast any day, Danny.
Oh, and I would recommend anything that Emma likes. And we're going to hear Emma's recommendation right now. So you lead us into it, Ricky.
That was a really good segue, Mark.
A segue. If anybody, I hope people know what a segue is. But anyways, yes.
Anyway, I'll just turn it right over to Emma. We just kicked this interview off, and she tells us about a unique one because you don't have to have a streaming device or a channel to watch it, or go to the theater to see it. This is one you can catch on YouTube. So here's Emma's review.
Here we go.
Yes.
Well, hello, Emma. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's 2026 treating you?
So far, so good. I am really excited for some spring weather to start hitting us. I keep saying spring is right around the corner.
Well, I think so. We're both in Madison. You see, it's sunny and beautiful outside today.
Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Well, you can't watch TV outside, especially in this weather. You've been watching it inside, and you have a new discovery you want to share with us.
Yes. So I watched, I couldn't find this on any sort of a regular streaming channel. I found it on YouTube, and it was the 2008 financial crisis. And I watched this because it seemed kind of similar to the state of our country right now that we're sitting in, because things are just really wonky, right? I mean, there's no denying that. But the other thing about the 2008 crisis that I wanted to learn more about is that so many people lost their jobs, so many people lost their homes, so many people lost a great fortune in their retirement funds. And I wanted to understand why. What happened? How did we get to where we got? And it really resonated with me because I'm one of those people who lost their home in 2008. No real fault of my own. So anyway, that's why I watched it. It was very, very good. There's plenty of other documentaries out there about this situation. But this one I felt was very, I don't want to say simple, but I understood it. I got it. Like it helped me understand really what happened.
Did it do any projecting or like, hey, these are the things we learned so we can prevent another financial crisis like this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there were some bad lending habits that happened. There were banks that were inflating home values that were not real. And there were banks that went bankrupt. There were banks that merged. And, these banks were looking to the government to bail them out. And the government did bail them out. Meanwhile, there are, this financial crisis that's going on and people are losing their jobs. And with the market crash, people lost 70% of their retirement fund. So if you had $500,000 in your retirement fund, and let's say you're just ready to retire, you now have $150,000. And I remember I lost $70,000. I will never forget that. And that's hard to recover from. So I think a lot of people reacted by pulling their money out of the market. And that just makes the problem worse because then there's no money in the market.
Yeah.
And you've got all these people who are losing their jobs and looking at the government and saying, why are you bailing out these big banks? And these bank CEOs, CFOs are still making hundreds of thousands of dollars in bonuses. So the little people look at that and are like, why aren't you bailing us out?
I know.
But I understand why the government did it. If we wouldn't have, we would have had a repeat of the Great Depression.
Oh, I didn't realize that part. Did it point fingers at all, like at Clinton? The whole idea was to get people in homes, right? And right now we know in this world, the average first-time homeowner is 40 years old. That idea was kind of to stimulate the economy and get things going. But a lot of people, in retrospect, were grateful for what Clinton did, and then after the fact, they faulted him. Or was there no finger pointing that way at all?
They didn't really bring Clinton up. I don't remember.
Good.
It was very centric to Bush, and then during this whole thing, there's a presidential election going on. So that in itself is crazy. And Obama really won his presidency by saying, I'm going to help the American people out. I'm not going to help these big banks out. I'm not going to help these big corporations out. I'm here for America. So, and man, if you look back at his and whatnot, it gives me goosebumps. He's just such a cool, calm, collected man. And I miss that.
And on that note, let's remind people if we're not even getting this story or seeing how it tied in, because many of us, myself included, were affected by that crisis as flipping homes at the time. But just to hear someone that knows how to speak, that was our president, that we could trust, that alone gives me confidence. And I would suggest it strongly. So remind people on YouTube, what do they Google and what do they look for?
It's the 2008 financial crisis.
Okay, easy enough. Thanks, Emma. You have a good 2026. Now, let's not repeat what happened years ago.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, see you later. Thank you.
Enjoy hearing her, and it's so funny because now that we're doing the YouTube, we're like making all these funny faces and stuff. Like I don't think we used to do that because we didn't. Well, we did see each other actually we didn't. Anyways,
no, we didn't. Did we?
No,
I don't remember.
Not when we were using Libsyn. We started using Zoom.
Right.
Remember? Because you couldn't see each other. That was a totally different ballgame. But Emma, thank you so much. And that was great. Now, you know what's next, Rick?
Yes.
That bugs my ass.
I got two of them. I always do. Because something else comes up. Two of them.
It's triggering, Mark. It is triggering. Yeah.
It is triggering. The first one, which was already in extant, as they say, was the microphones on the phone, man. Like the default is on. I can't stand it. And like I'm doing text messages, whatever I'm doing. And even when I push the microphone off, I swear to you, I'm not imagining this. A second later, 2 seconds later, it comes back on. And it's constantly picking up the television. It's picking up somebody else talking.
Right.
I don't know what to do. Like, why does it do that? You should have to click it on. And when you click it off, it stays off. It bugs my ass. What do you think?
No, I agree. It's one of my least favorite things. And it's happening more and more and more.
I don't know why they did that. It's just horrible. The other bugs my ass. I don't know. You may not like this one, Rick, but somebody close to me sent me a LinkedIn thing and like, oh, check this out. So after many, many years, I rejoined LinkedIn. Within a week, I was bombarded with bullshit. Request. They also want to sell me shit. I put myself in as a publisher and an author, and like all of a sudden, everybody wanted me to hire them. I'm like, I'm out of here. So I deleted it. I was back on LinkedIn for less than a week. I don't use it. I'm like I do my own thing. I don't need LinkedIn, to be perfectly honest with you. But you say your part, Rick.
Yeah, no, because it's funny. I went to tag you and I'm like, oh, Mark's not on this. And then you said I must have missed the window of opportunity because after reading your book and understanding that whole thing, I thought I would promote it somewhere. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it on Facebook. I want to promote it professionally on LinkedIn. And I sent you the post and I couldn't tag you. But just, I'm promoting you on LinkedIn. So
thank you. And that it's because I don't want,
I get it.
I don't want people saying, hire me to do your book covers. I'm like, I do my own shit.
Yeah.
I thought I could just be on there and like connect with people but anyways, it's not my thing. Sorry.
No, I get it. You do get bombarded a lot. My bugs my ass. Two things. Number one, on December 31st, the end of the year, December 31st, 2025, Paramount, under the new Skydance merger, officially shut down several dedicated 24-hour music channels. This marked the symbolic end of the music television era. Channels that went dark were MTV Music, blah, blah, blah. So the network MTV is still around, but there's no music. The original was the MTV Music channel. There's MTV 90s, Club MTV, MTV 80s, and MTV Live. The final video, in a poetic nod to its 1981 debut, which you and I were there for, many of these channels played Video Killed the Radio Star by the Bugles.
Yeah.
Final broadcast before going off the air. Isn't that cool?
And that people know that was the first one, right?
The very first one, yeah. So it's not even bittersweet. I'm mad. I'm sad. I don't watch it anymore, but end of an era. And then the other thing that happened right as we got into January, on January 5th, and this one, affected it's part of your past. On January 5th, the landscape of American media shifted dramatically. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the nonprofit entity that has funded and supported public media since 1967, officially voted to dissolve because of this motherfucking cocksucking prick in the way.
And the money was already allocated. Like it's no, what I understand why people are so frustrated. It's like, what happened to Congress? Like, what happened to anybody saying, wait a minute?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So we got to write it out. I mean, it's hard, but we got to write it out, and we have to get back in power. because I'm sorry, but the other thing with the whole white black thing, and there's so many people who will say, when is enough is enough? Why aren't people doing anything? And I said, we're doing a lot. We don't have power. We don't have the Senate. We don't have the House, the courts. Who the hell knows? But there's only so much you can do when you are not in a position of power, but we are doing a lot. So I want to say that as we get to our wisdom of Joe. Right, because we need Joe right now, don't you think?
Yeah, we do. Everyone needs a little Joe.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Experience is a tough teacher because she gives the test first and the lesson later. You can't give a child everything she wants without also giving her boredom. There's only one thing that costs more than education today, the lack of it.
That last one was spot on. Spot on.
Mm. And here's a mother who raised 10 kids and saw their education through. Raised good kids. Man, I love that woman so much. 94 years old. Just amazing.
Now we're getting to the last question, but before we have yours, because it was your assignment.
Yes.
That was your assignment. I'm going to tell you some responses we got to last week's final question, which was, what was the most impactful invention in your lifetime, which could be good, could be bad. I said, I have to say the internet, which made everything else possible, including AI. None of that would be going on without the internet. We wouldn't need it. And it's a double-edged sword. The internet was great. It was supposed to be something that it's not. It was supposed to be like the free flow of information, and that ain't what it is anymore. But anyways, I think it's the most consequential invention. And then Tom said smartphones, which is probably true. I mean, we all have like these little computers in our hands now. Who would have thought this 30 years ago?
And now with AI, you can create everything. Yeah, who would have thought? I wouldn't have.
And we can text each other while we podcast. Like, that's insane. Cecile said GPS, which is kind of cool. And it's gotten really good. Like 10 years ago, you might make a wrong turn because it would.
Oh, driving in the water. Remember, it was taking people off.
Right. Now it tells you exactly where to turn. You don't even have to say, when it says turn right at the next corner, you don't have to go like, do they mean the next corner? It's very, very specific. Even though in our house,
trash, it tells you when they're speeding it. Yeah.
Yes, it tells you when there's cops ahead. Our house, by the way, whoever started this property many, many years ago, the address must have been up the road because GPS tells people to go like 100 yards up the road from our house. It's really weird.
Well, just so you know, my friend Patty corrected mine because we have numbers on the front of our townhouse and numbers on the back. So when they go to find me, they can't. But you can go into Google and change it, just so you know, and change your location.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't know how, but Patty did it for me.
Dig it.
Yeah.
You got a final question for the peeps?
Yeah, and I just want to point out, Joanne and I talked about this question. I think I mentioned last week. Air travel is definitely, to me, 90, 100 years, like, who would think? And for that cost, and we complain a lot for a $500 ticket, but for $500, I can be sitting here in Madison, and the next moment, 6 hours later, I'm sitting in Palm Springs. That's a miracle, right? Allows you to open up to cultures. It allows you to see loved ones. It allows you to be there on someone's death. Allows you to be at someone's birth. And then television, no doubt, moving image, whether that's on a screen or whether that's through GPS or any of that technology. So my question is this, bring it back to New Year's and kind of finding peace. We went from the extreme of technology, life-changing, to this. What thing do you spend the least time on, yet gives you the greatest joy? So what item do you spend so little time on, but when you do it, it brings you such elaborate joy?
Yeah, I know what mine is.
Yeah. Write it down. Mine's pretty simple too. Yeah. So that's our question. Yeah. Let us know, comment, send us an email, send us a note. Find me and Mark on Facebook. Don't find Mark on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, sorry, folks.
Yeah. So let us know.
Hire me. Anybody can hire me if they want to. If you got a project.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hire you at Boy College.
But I ain't going to hire you.
No, you got to hire me. I got nothing to hire.
I don't mean you, Rick. I don't mean you.
Oh, you mean those people poking at
on
you?
the LinkedIn. It's like, oh, here, yeah, okay.
Oh, we like your podcast, but you can do this better.
Oh my God, I hate those. I don't even open those. I get those constantly. Your
I think I
podcast
sucked
could
in.
be, yeah, you could be so
Essentially.
successful. Blah 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 blah. If that's what I wanted, I'd be somebody else. I don't care.
We're fine with just Steve listening and once in a while Susie tuning in.
No, we got more than that.
Charlie once in a while.
No, I mean in
Okay.
general in my life.
I
Like
know.
I don't need to hire somebody to make me viral. It's like I'm just I'm too far past that shit.
You know, I just want to say, you're moving to the quote, that what I love about this 300 some episodes, and you know, we are indulging people that are kind enough to listen, and I know they get something from it. My friend Kelly, she comments all the time, Mark. You heard her say she had an angry doll. She got her entire staff angry dolls last year. These folks really, really do truly enjoy the show. And I mean that it's hard for me because sometimes I suffer with imposter syndrome. I'm like, we're just talking, you know? And it's like, and you've worked really hard. But I'll tell you, for me, the greatest joy is really just having that 1 hour a week to connect with you. You're one of my best friends in the world. And, you know, for folks that don't know, Mark and I really don't talk during the week. We text each other, not just about the show. We'll text each other. But for me, Mark, the greatest joy is really just my time with you, and that people value that friendship and understand why this means something to me and you means a lot to me.
And it
So
makes
thank
them
you guys.
laugh. I mean, if we were boring, nobody would be listening. But by the way, and I've said this before, I've had a podcast with the two women, Pumps and what's her name, hugely successful. They do exactly what we do. Exactly what we do. So there you go.
Well,
I mean, they have like high profile guests and shit on, but they do exactly what we do. So
We get the high profiles. We got Steve on the show.
we do our own thing. We follow our own drum.
Yeah, we beat to our own drum. Or what do we do?
We skip to
Drum
our
to our
own.
beat. We beat.
Skip to our own scotch or hopscotch. But anyways, I do not have
Lighten
a
the
quote.
loafers.
I forgot to do a quote, but I would recommend that everybody read the poem that Amanda Gorman wrote in tribute to Renee Good. That's my advice.
Oh, homework and a good. She did. I love Amanda. Oh, now
Yeah.
you got me all emotional. I'm going to read it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. I'm going to take a couple weeks off at least a week off in February to go into Mexico, baby.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if
Where
I'm
you
coming
going?
back.
At least go. I wouldn't come back. Where you going down there?
We fly to Ojai, California, to see my sister in Ojai for 5 nights, and we're going to the cruise ship that goes to Ensenada and Cabo.
Cabo. Yeah, my big trip is Mardi Gras, so I'll be gone too, probably during that time. I think from the 7th to the 14th, but we'll figure it out. We'll get this all worked out.
Now is when everybody's going like, did they ever stop? We'll see you next week, everybody.
See you guys. Thanks for joining us. See you, Mark.
Bye.
That's twisted.
Welcome to the twist with Mark and Rick. Always fun, always clicking the best way. Here to stay.
That's twisted.
Images of Josephine all over the place.
Stay tuned. Yeah, you know it's time to start. Tune in, let's play our part. Coming to you from the heart. Entertainment.
That's twisted.